finding a balance is so difficult, you know? That's why a routine in the morning where it's just you is so important, because so much of your day is just giving to other people and worrying about things, you know, worrying about, you know, what employees and what you need to give them to do, which is something I struggle with. But, you know, and just constantly trying to improve yourself as a business owner as well as a person. And I think that's like, you know, the takeaway here is that you have to feed yourself before you can feed anyone else. You know, I can't be the best boss to my employees if I'm not feeding myself first. I can't give to my members if I'm not giving to myself first. And in a lot of motivational speeches, they always talk about when the mask comes down, when there's turbulence on a plane and the mask comes down, they always tell you to put your mask on first. And it's just that, you know, you have to be able to set time aside for yourself in order to be able to make your company the best that it's going to be. Running a business, you go through ups and downs, right? And you can achieve something and you feel great about yourself, but as a high achiever, you know, you're always looking, what's the next thing? You know, nothing really feels like it's enough. But when you do fail, when you do get to these points where something that you believed was going to work doesn't work the way that you thought it was, or, you know, something gets in your head that's a self-limiting belief. And it's like a cancer, like it grows, you know, it's like this tumor that spreads into the way you interact with people, into your thoughts, into your creativity, into the way you manage projects. And I kind of was at this rut, you know, letting go of my classes, which is how I started Fit and Thick. I started Fit and Thick by teaching classes. It was a fitness program before it was ever like a full-fledged brand. So when I let go of that, I felt like part of my identity was kind of lost, and I didn't really know what I was going to replace that with. And getting to a point in my life where I just felt like I was so far off of where I thought I was going to be at this point, which I know sounds crazy to some people, but it's the truth. I kind of developed this self-limiting belief that I wasn't capable of the level of success that I wanted to achieve, or the level of success that I felt that I was destined for. I just felt like I wasn't capable or worthy of it. And one of the things that we did at the seminar was we wrote down our self-limiting beliefs, but then we had to feel that belief, we had to embody it, and then we had to write down everything that has transpired thus far in our lives because of that self-limiting belief. So for me, it's business relationships lost. It's business opportunities that I let go. It's, you know, not reaching my full potential, not making the amount of money that I could be making. There's so many things that, you know, but then we had to also attach it to emotion, because that was really drives things home. Anxiety, depression, you know, anger, embarrassment, all the things that I could potentially feel if I held on to this belief. And then we had to go 10 years into the future and write down everything that could come to pass if we held on to it. And we were just imagining. So like, I had to imagine that my business failed. I had to imagine that I was working for someone else, which I can't even imagine, you know, I can't even imagine, like, I literally cannot fucking imagine what that would be like. I'd be the worst employee ever. I had to imagine all these emotions, letting my sister down. My sister works for me. Letting my friends who work for me, you know, down. My parents, I have goals. I have goals that I want to provide a certain life for those around me and for myself, and to let those people down, to let myself down. I had to feel all that disappointment. And I got to a place where I felt like my life was absolutely worthless. And it was such a intense feeling for me. 10 years ago, I attempted suicide. And it wasn't until I actually was in Costa Rica, it was like one of the huge breakthroughs that I had in Costa Rica as well, where I realized, like, I need to live my life, like I'm alive. I realized in Costa Rica that because whenever I talked about my suicide attempt, it was always like, I tried to kill myself. But it was never, I feel guilty for doing that. I feel embarrassed. I'm ashamed I never attached the emotion of what I felt that I had been carrying for so long. When I released it, I was able to reflect and look at it a different way. And I vowed to myself, I never want to feel like that. I want to actually contribute. I want to share my story. I want to show people that you can come from wanting to die to living your best life, walking your true purpose, living in your true self. And when we did this exercise, I felt like I wanted to kill myself. Like he took us so deep that I remembered what it felt like. And it was like this hysterical process. I mean, everyone in the room was crying. And it took everything in me, like when he turned the lights on and everyone was jumping, I was still hysterically crying because I felt it so strongly. And it took everything in me, every ounce of strength that I had inside of me, mind, body, spirit, to pull myself back to the present. And it just reminded me once again, you know, of that resolve that I had in Costa Rica, that I need to live my best life. I need to share my story. I need to walk and live in my true purpose. And that was my greatest takeaway from the weekend. And, you know, it's interesting to me because to have two experiences in the same year where I needed to be reminded of that so deeply, it just now makes me realize that I need to continue to put myself in those types of situations. I need to continue to put myself in environments where I don't know what's gonna happen, where I can be emotionally vulnerable and really just step outside myself and remind myself who the fuck I am and why I'm walking on this path. You know, my attempt and why I started, everything that's happened to my life up to this point, I've been given this success, I've been given everything that I have inside of me by my Creator in order to serve, in order to now share my story. And so when I now examine that self-limiting belief that I had, that I wasn't capable or I wasn't worthy of success, now I can say I am worthy of every single ounce of success that I achieve because I was given it to serve. I was given it to share, to inspire, to motivate, to communicate, to help people work through their demons in order to live their best life.